I came in with extreme pelvic pain, rectal pressure. I would actually even get bloated too. My mood was down. I was like, this is just how it is.
Did anyone say, like, maybe you should consider pelvic floor rehab or consider pelvic floor therapy?
No. Medical conditions I had were even correlated with pelvic floor issues. I had no idea. And I feel like so many women need help and they just don't know they have pelvic floor issues. And in 4 months, I have not had a full flare. I am lifting heavier than I've ever lifted. Honestly, I can't recommend you enough.
Welcome back to the What About Mom podcast. Today, we have a very special guest, Mary, who is one of our clients working with us one-on-one in our Pelvic Floor and Core Restore program. And I am so excited to bring her today to you live to really share and open up her journey, her story from years of pelvic pain and suffering to really wanting to work with us more intimately one-on-one. So welcome, Mary.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you're here too. I just feel like it's such an honor to honestly hear someone's story from the very beginning all the way until the end, because as I know with your story, you struggled for quite a while before you started working with us.
Years. And before I even actually realized some of the medical conditions I had were even correlated with pelvic floor issues. I had no idea until after I had my daughter.
I think that that's so common too, because women and mothers are just conditioned to like brush things under the rug and not make it that big of a deal. But when you are actually struggling, you start thinking like, is this just in my head? Like you've even told doctors about it. Walk us through your journey of when you started to like become awoken to realize like, wait a second, I'm actually dealing with pelvic floor dysfunction here.
Yeah. So actually it started back in 2015, 2016. I was having urinary issues. And it turned out I was finally diagnosed in 2017 with interstitial cystitis. And nobody told me that could be related to pelvic floor issues. Wow. Nobody, nothing. And so I just kind of dealt with that. And then after I had my daughter in 2020 at the very beginning of COVID, so that was stressful and fun, my IC symptoms just kind of got worse. And then—
Can I be like totally TMI? Will you tell us like what your IC symptoms were? Because there might be someone listening that's like, oh, I didn't know that possibly could be what it is.
Oh, of course. Yeah. So for interstitial cystitis, I think it can be different for everybody from what I've learned. But for me personally, like it would feel like I had a UTI.
Yep.
But my urine was clean. Sometimes like I would even see tissue in like when I would use the restroom. It felt like my urethra was on fire, like just constant urethral pressure. And I went to a urologist, a male urologist, and he misdiagnosed me and actually had a surgery.
You even had a surgery. This was 10 years ago.
This was almost 10 years ago. Yeah. Wow. And he was like, oh, you have a urethral stricture and we need to dilate your urethra.
Wow.
So I even had that whole procedure. And at first I was like, oh, okay. And then the symptoms came right back. So I went to my female doctor and I was like, I feel like I need a second opinion. This isn't, I don't want to have another surgery. And so she's like, you actually should go see a urogynecologist. Yeah. So that's what I did. And the urogynecologist was like, no, you have interstitial cystitis. And I was like, no one has ever mentioned that to me before. And I had to actually get bladder installations for 6 weeks, which helped. And then I started a medication at night called amitriptyline. I still take it to this day for my urinary symptoms. Yeah. But I didn't know that was part of pelvic floor.
So even then, you got diagnosed with IC, clearly very pelvic floor related. Your urethra is right up in there, connected to your bladder, which sits on top of the pelvic floor. At any point during that part of your journey, did anyone say, like, maybe you should consider pelvic floor rehab or consider pelvic floor therapy?
No.
Yeah. Crazy. So how many more years passed of you just living with this diagnosis without getting specialized support?
So that was in 2017 that I was officially diagnosed. It wasn't until like fall 2020 that I went for diastasis recti. Completely different issue after having my daughter. I went to my first pelvic floor therapist. And it was very much centered around just the diastasis recti. Nothing really with pelvic floor.
Okay. And was this in person?
It was in person.
Okay. In person. Did you see a pelvic floor therapist or just a general ortho PT?
I feel like she was a pelvic floor therapist.
Okay. So
because she also did an internal exam.
Okay. So definitely a pelvic floor therapist. If you're listening to this and someone says that they do pelvic floor rehab, but they're not certified and trained to be able to provide an internal exam, that is not pelvic floor therapy.
Okay.
It's so crazy. Like even in a lot of OB offices, they're having nurses being quote unquote pelvic floor rehab therapists.
Really?
I know, or they're doing pelvic floor rehab in the office, but there's no rehab provider that's actually trained to be, have their master's or doctorate in rehab itself. So just like it's a very common term right now that's being thrown around. So since you said that, I was like, I have to clear things up and just put it on the record that if you're getting pelvic floor rehab, just make sure it's really with a true rehab provider.
Yeah. Well, okay. That's good to know because I didn't know that. I had no idea.
Okay. So you did go in person.
I did go in and all she said is that I had a tight pelvic floor.
Okay.
But really focused on the diastasis recti. And at that time, my insurance was not covering rehab. Okay. So I just kind of took what she said. And then it was in 2021.
Yeah.
I gave myself a year because I was like, I want to get healthier. COVID really inspired me to finally start exercising and taking care of myself. So I gave myself a little bit of time after having my daughter.
Yeah.
And then I started to lift weights.
Okay.
Got into the whole thing, learning about nutrition, learning all about macros. And that's when I first started really noticing like an uncomfortableness in my pelvic floor. I was like, something doesn't feel right. Not the same pain that I had when I came to Lindsay.
Sure.
Very much less than that, but still something wasn't right. So I went with her, and it's funny. I've seen 4 pelvic floor therapists, and they've all been different.
Yeah. I think that's such an important, just to pause for a moment, like there are so many, even if you are with a pelvic floor therapist, and even if you do get into that really specialized support, and just as we were talking before we started this, is, in general, rehab school, whether you're in OT or PT school, pelvic floor therapy is not typically included in the coursework and curriculum. It is a specialization that you go into. You can do it during school if you really already know you love that specialty, or after and beyond. So that specialization is really important. But even though people specialize in pelvic floor rehab, there are still different schools of thought. There are different practices. There are different programs and models. There are different philosophies and beliefs and way of thinking. And so, yeah, that's interesting. The fact that you saw 4 different pelvic floor PTs, very specialized, and all of them had a very different approach for you. And were all 4 of those in person as well?
Yes.
Okay. So if you're listening for the first time, what we do is we are 100% virtual online, and we are trained rehab providers. We are a team of OTs and PTs, specialized in women's health, pregnancy, postpartum, pelvic health, but we do it 100% virtually. So I am sure that after working with 4 pelvic floor PTs in person and your extensive history in pelvic health, IC, pelvic pain, now this increase in rise with the tension as you start weightlifting, I'm sure it was scary and or uncommon for you to consider pelvic floor rehab online.
It was. I was like, don't you have to be in person? Don't you have to do the internal exams? Don't you have to do like all the things in person? So I was a little skeptical.
Sure.
But ever since I heard you speak at the Coaches Summit, there's something different about it. And I was like, I have to learn more because I've never heard that piece to it.
What do you think was different about our philosophy, the way that we work with clients from a pelvic floor rehab lens versus maybe in the past, what you've experienced?
So for all of So your speech at the Coaches Summit, you taught me, even though I've been to different pelvic floors, I never knew, I was never told how much your pelvic floor, like how it's even connected with your diaphragm, how much it's connected with your central nervous system, how to check, like when you were doing the lecture and you're like, sit on your hand, I want you to breathe. Like I was never taught that. I never knew that.
Yeah.
That you could tell, like if you are actually relaxing your pelvic floor or not.
It sounds like to me that you went to a lot of providers who did XYZ to you. They did the internal exam. They did the diastasis assessment. But it sounds like to me the relationship or the body autonomy, you weren't within your own body. You weren't ever taught to have the tools in your toolbox to connect to your own pelvic floor, to connect to your own body, to really somatically, spatially connect into that. Would you say that that's true?
Yeah. I mean, because they did the last one that I went to before I worked with Lindsay, she did talk about different stress relieving techniques, but it was more like do this technique or do this technique. Lindsay very much so gave me a list and she's like, I want you to find which one resonates with you.
Yeah.
You don't have to do all of them. Pick one or two that you really like and that you use, and I want you to play around with it. Like just giving you the option of that was really nice. It wasn't like you have to do it this way, this way, this way. It was more customized and individualized to me. Like pick which one you like better.
Yeah.
And so that really did help a lot.
It's like a partnership, right?
Yeah,
it was. We're kind of collaborating. We're co-collaborating together.
Yes.
And that's the beauty of virtual, because the virtual can give that space. And it also, we're not there doing an internal exam. We're not there going to be able to assess you. So it's really like you taking radical responsibility and radical ownership and connection to your own body for you to source that healing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because even I've had a lot of internal exams.
Sure.
That alone doesn't heal you. That alone does not make it better. Because I feel like how do I word this? Whenever you have to do something like that physically, it's like, well, you have to keep doing that over and over again. Like you don't find a solution. It's like, because I will probably have a hypertonic pelvic floor the rest of my life. Is it feasible to go every week to an office and have an internal exam? No. But having the tools that I can use and I can be aware of at home, and a lot of it is like your central nervous system. Like you said, being really in tune with your body, taking a moment to step aside. Okay, what can I do in this moment? A lot of it is stress related. And I really learned, okay, what works for me with 3 kids, how I can take a minute, and then you just feel yourself relax.
Yeah, you said something so powerful there too, of like the tools. You have the tools that you were given that were individualized to you for you to be able to choose to see what works and what applies to my life versus feeling like it has to be this one way or you're not going to get better.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I know I totally sped us all the way forward. I was like, wait a second. I skipped over so many parts of your journey and I want to go all the way back. Because I think this is important too, because oftentimes we will have women and moms listening to this that don't even really know that they have pelvic floor dysfunction, and they're starting to work out and they start noticing that feeling that you were talking about. Yeah. Take us back to that moment when you started feeling like, okay, something feels off. Number one, please listen to your intuition, because a woman's intuition is so incredibly powerful. So just that pause to say something feels off. I'm going to listen to that and take the next step and the next action. So take us back to when you started weightlifting and what those symptoms were that you were starting to experience.
So I started to feel a lot of like rectal pressure. And of course, my mind goes to the worst. Like I have a 1-year-old now. Oh my gosh, what could this be? So I actually went to my gastroenterologist because I didn't realize this either. I was diagnosed with IBS in 2008. So I went to my gastroenterologist and they did a colonoscopy. They're like, everything looks fine. It's just your IBS. You need to take Miralax every day.
Wow,
so
every day.
Okay. It was funny. He's like, you need to take Miralax every day, but then also take fiber. So I was like,
Feels kinda
okay.
counterintuitive.
Yeah. I was like, all right.
These are like Band-Aid solutions.
Right. I was
let's
like,
just name
sure.
them. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm, mixing all this up and the pressure's not going away.
Right.
So then at that time I went to my GP and he said, maybe you should see a pelvic floor therapist. He's the one that recommended. I was like,
cool.
All right. So I saw her and that's what she really worked with me on is she did all the internal things, had some exercises. Then she actually weaned me off of the Miralax.
Okay.
So I no longer had to take it. And then I was taking the fiber supplement. It's like, okay, so things are moving better in the right direction. And she was the one that said, oh, IBS can be related to pelvic floor.
Yes.
And I was like, wow, okay, then I've had this issue since I was 20. Like I remember in 2008 having my first colonoscopy because I would have so much abdominal pain. And so I graduated from working with her, but it didn't last.
Yep. We hear that a lot.
I was okay. And then it was last year, 2024, after a workout, because between seeing her in 2021 and 2024, I also got my personal training certification, my nutrition coach certification. So which
is so cool. I love that, by the way. Like I love when, moms get into fitness and nutrition and exercise, like after having kids and they start getting to a quote unquote later in life, right? It's not like you like grew up in this world, but it changed your life so much to the point that you then went on to become certified nutrition and a personal trainer for other women in your same shoes. So I love that. Okay, keep going.
I was always the one growing up. I was very influenced by diet culture.
Yeah.
I had to be super skinny. I had to, and so finally after having my daughter, I was like, this isn't working. Like, and I don't want to model that for her.
Yeah.
Or my stepkids. I don't want them to see that. So that's like it. Once I started learning more about it and I had a coach myself, I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to do this. So within that time period, I had gotten my certifications. I had started my business and, I remember it distinctly. It was a Tuesday. I had just done a heavy glute workout and I was in the living room and I had the most intense shooting pain up my rectum and in my pelvis. I was on my knees. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to go to the hospital. And it went away within 20 minutes.
You were having a pretty severe spasm.
It was really bad. I didn't know what was happening. I was like, I've never felt that before. And then for days after, I couldn't sit down all the way because of the pelvic pressure was so bad.
Yeah.
This happened. It started to getting more and more often. So I went back to my GP. And so he said, let's lay off the weights for 2 weeks, see how that does. And he was like, I think you should go back to pelvic floor therapy. And I was like, okay. Well, at this time, the other pelvic floor therapist that I originally saw in 2021 was no longer at that practice. So I got recommendations and I found another one. And so
this is before you started working with us.
This is before I started working with you guys. And so I went with her. And working with her, she actually said something interesting. She was like, I actually don't think you have IC. I think this is all pelvic floor related. I don't know. Who knows if that's actually true or not. But she did the internal exams. And I actually did a step further and I did dry needling with her. I never went as far as doing the pelvic floor dry needling because I was like, I don't know that I could do that. But I did some lower back dry needling.
It's fun modality.
And she was the one, again, learning something new, that my lower back and all of that is also related. It can be related to pelvic floor. And I'm like, I learn something new every time. Definitely. Like I had no idea.
We talk about like noisy neighbors, right? A lot in our teachings and our philosophy and our education for pelvic health is like, okay, if the pelvic floor is tight and tense and angry, it's going to start pissing off its neighbors. That could be the hips. That could be the back, the tailbone. You were having a lot of rectal pressure. We tend to see a lot of what we call posterior pelvic floor tightness. So a lot of tightness and tension in the back part of the pelvic floor. And then that can trigger hip and back and tailbone discomfort as well. So sometimes it's the pelvic floor that's the trigger or like the cause, if you will. Like they started the party first.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, my hip is just killing me. But like no one's able to help it. Or like my back just always hurts. And so sometimes people will just blame it on the back pain because they'll start feeling that or be more aware potentially that, oh, this is an orthopedic thing. I'm going to go to, PT for my back, but really it's a pelvic floor related issue the whole time.
So I had no idea.
Yeah. And that's
None.
normal. Yeah. It's so
None.
sad that it's lack of education is there, but
I know.
interesting that you started noticing that connection yourself between your
did.
back and your pelvic floor and how those are obviously very interconnected. And when one flared up, it sounds like the other one flared up.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So it was all like I noticed I would have flares after a heavy glute day. So then like I felt really defeated at that point because I was like, I'm finally loving, like I have a career that I like, but now I can't lift weights. Like I can't, I was like, so I felt really lost. And, this pelvic floor therapist, I feel like she was very good in her own right, but again, it was all very physical.
Yeah.
Very physical things.
Very reliant, right?
Yeah,
like you were relying on her to quote unquote fix you, or like the dry cleaning is not bad, right?
Yeah.
Like internal sessions are not bad. Like it's not the modality that's bad. It's the behavior that we exchange with it, or the process that we exchange with that of feeling like, oh, I have to go somewhere to get the release.
Yeah.
I have to go somewhere to get the dry needling. Those can be helpful in an acute flare-up, and let's save them for that time period.
Yeah.
But really, if we're going to try to make sustainable long-term changes, it really is about digging even deeper. And that's what it sounds like you learned.
I did.
Once we started together.
I did. And so insurance didn't cover a whole lot.
Sure.
So then, out of pocket, that was intense.
Yeah. Walk us through, you've invested in yourself.
I did.
And your pelvic health, and then obviously furthering to go on to strength training, nutrition. So you've invested a lot in yourself as a woman, as a mom, and a lot of women and mothers that we talk to really struggle to prioritize investing in themselves. So I'm not going to do a total side tangent here. Like why do you think that's so important to like really listen to your body, to get down to the root cause and never give up, and continuing to, invest in yourself, whether it's, health related or career related? Like, why do you think that's so important?
I feel for a couple different reasons. One, it really models to our kids.
Yeah.
Because I think that in some aspects of society, I think it's getting better, but I think women are kind of put it, well, they have the heavy load. They just need to take everything on. They family first. And while I do agree, I also believe you cannot pour from an empty cup. And I think a lot of moms, and I didn't realize this until I had kids, you lose yourself in it. And that was another reason why I wanted to do something for myself and be a nutrition coach and help other women, is because you can find the balance, and balance looks different for everybody, but you need to be able to fill your own cup, kind of like when you're in an airplane, the mask falls down. Yeah. You gotta put your mask on first in order to help your kids. And also I think it models for your kids too. Like it's okay to take care of yourself. It's okay to do that. And I think that it's important seeing your parents have a hobby that they like.
Yes.
Do hard things. I think that's the really big thing, is doing hard things. And it, for my daughter, she, for Halloween this year, this has a point. She's obsessed with Moana.
Okay.
So she wants to be Moana.
Yeah.
She wants me to be Maui because I'm really strong.
I love that.
And I was like, well, the costume. But then I was like, wow, that's how she sees me.
Yeah, she sees me
as strong.
Wow, cool.
And I think that that's so important because, like I said, I think it's getting better in society if women can do everything that a man can do. But to show our young girls that you can do anything. You can do the hard work. You can, you can put yourself first. That's okay. It's okay to say no. You don't have to agree to everything. I feel like that's really important.
Yeah, I think the modeling thing is huge. It's huge to me, having 2 kiddos myself, of course, and just like runs through our company of like really modeling generational change and what that looks like when women and mothers do say yes to themselves. Like that is such a powerful thing as a woman and as a mom, to say yes to yourself first. It's not selfish. No. It's not selfish. It is so important. And you spoke briefly on losing your identity a little bit in motherhood. And when you become a mom, it's so easy to lose that identity. But I love like repackaging that as, did we lose our identity or did we also just stop saying yes to ourselves?
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Like, did we stop saying yes to what lights us up and makes us happy? Did we stop saying yes to healing our bodies and feeling strong and confident in our bodies? Did we stop saying yes to prioritizing our nutrition and our well-being? Did we give into all of the activities and all of the tasks, which just ramped up our stress levels, which just makes everything worse? So I feel like, it's so cool having you here too, and also sharing like, hey, let's catch moms earlier in that phase too, of those moms that are, in the earlier years of motherhood, to just continue to prioritize themselves, to not let them know that it's not selfish, right?
It's not selfish, not at all. Like, and you'll feel better about yourself. Like there's just something about lifting a weight. I don't know. Like I just,
we're huge fans of mom strength training over here. Like, so we love that.
There's just something about it. Like you can do hard things and and I think that you're right. You stop saying yes to yourself because I think as a mother, you feel like you have to say yes to everybody else.
Yep.
Like you have to, yes, I'll go do this. Yes, I'll do this project. Yes, let's do 17 sports in a season. Like, and at some point, like you need to take a step back because you also need to say yes to yourself.
Absolutely. And not discounting that motherhood does require self-sacrifice in some ways. Like, yes, there are more diapers to change. And yes, there are more feedings. And there is a selflessness to it. But there also is a point where 15 minutes a day, 20 or 30 minutes a day, we can find that time to say yes to ourselves. We can find that time to contribute back to our mental and emotional well-being, to our stress levels and decreasing those, like to our physical well-being as well, or preparing in the kitchen with our nutrition. Like that is time that we're dedicating back into ourselves to continue to say yes to ourselves, which then in turn ripple effects right to the family.
It does, yeah.
And you're, like you said too, teaching our daughters and teaching our sons, like what it looks like to have a mom that does prioritize her health and her well-being is so incredibly powerful. And there's even research to show that, if mom is more active in the household, children will be more active. If we have 2 active parents in the household, children are 5.8 more times likely to be active as well.
That's awesome.
So cool, right? Yeah. So it's like we need to make the standard and the accepted standard is like, yes, we need to prioritize mothers. We need to prioritize women saying yeses to themselves so that they can pour from a full cup.
Yeah. And I think too, it's hard. Like, I think that when some women think of self-care, they think of, it has to be this big thing. It has to, and it doesn't, like you said, 15 minutes. Like it just like it, and it could be all different sorts of things. And it's easy to say, but laundry can wait 20 minutes. The dishes can wait 20 minutes. Like, and it just takes practice in doing that. And so some days are going to look different than others. Yeah. But you can do it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that was a fun side to it. Yeah. Okay, so take me back. You obviously worked with in-person pelvic floor PT. You got some hands-on support. You were finding you were maybe finding some temporary relief, but not like long-term relief.
Yeah, not long-term. And so if I honestly kind of ran out of funds to keep going to that pelvic floor therapist. And I just kind of accepted, okay, this is just how it's going to be. I guess this is it. I'll have to live with it. I guess I won't be able to lift heavy weights. And then I saw you speak at the Coaches Summit. And I was like, wait a minute. I feel just really drawn, having had all the experiences that I've had previously. Yeah. I was like, I have to talk to her. And I went up to you afterwards.
I remember.
And I was like, I just have to say, like, thank you so much. I relate to that. Like, and it really did. Because when I first saw your name on the roster and it said pelvic floor, I'm like, I want to learn more about that because it affects me personally. And then, after our initial call and then started working with Lindsay, I like that she really validated and said it was okay if you have a flare.
Yeah.
Because I feel, and this is something I talked to you earlier about too, like she introduced me to somatic tracking.
Yes.
And that, I think, above all else, has really helped me.
Yeah, like just to take a pause, a lot of pelvic floor PTs don't know what somatic tracking is.
Really?
A lot of pelvic floor OTs don't know what somatic tracking is. That is something that Lindsay, one of our coaches on our team here at Your Postpartum PT, she went on to further specialize in being a mind-body practitioner and really specializing in nervous system regulation and everything like that. So it's a very unique blend that she also brings to our coaching staff and our coaching team and to her clients.
Yeah.
You, of course, that was able to bring that further into the practice. Because I would assume over the last 4 pelvic floor PTs or OTs that you worked with, no one talked about somatic tracking.
No, never. Like, not at all.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry, go ahead.
So it's different, right?
It's so different. Like first when she told me, she was like, only use it when you're in a flare. And I was like, okay. Cause so I would have days where I'd be status quo and then I'd have flares.
Mm-hmm.
And then the flare, I would have the intense pain. I hurt to sit down, and it actually started to increase to wrap around my entire pelvis. I would get achiness. It would affect my sciatic nerves. And so it was just super uncomfortable. And so, with her working with me, she gave me some great exercises that I love to do after a glute day. She gave me the nervous system exercises, the choices that I could have. And then she was like, I'm going to introduce you to somatic tracking. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, what's that? And she was like, only use it in a flare because we aren't going to ignore your pain.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to actually focus on it and know that you're going to be okay with it.
Feels so counterintuitive.
It does. I was like,
right?
What? We're going to focus on it?
Yeah.
So the next time I had a flare, I did it. And one, it was just so relaxing.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that it is done, it just makes you feel safe in your pain, because I feel like a lot of people, and I did this too, whenever you have a chronic pain condition or anything like that, whenever you first feel the sign of it, you're like, oh my God, go away. No, I can't feel this. And you try to ignore it. And that just ramps up your nervous system. Mm-hmm. And with the somatic tracking, you are actually like, okay, go to where your pain is and know that you are safe in that space.
Mm-hmm.
That honestly changed my world, because I did it one time with a really bad flare. The next day, the flare was gone.
Yeah. It's the power that your brain and your nervous system has over whatever the receiver is. So for you, it's like the pelvic floor is the receiver, or your back is the receiver of the heavy insertion of the pain, the ramping up, the stress response.
Yeah.
But it goes to show like how powerful your brain and your body are when you connect into that mind-body approach, because it's actually teaching your body safety. It's teaching your body that you don't have to be afraid or fear. And that right there is so healing in itself.
It is.
Yeah. Like, it actually decreases your pain.
It does.
Yeah.
And to the point, so like I did it, and her and I were working on increasing my weights and the exercises I was doing. I noticed that I would have more flares when I was doing single leg exercises, especially like lunges, extreme kind of movement of your pelvis. And so I started doing the somatic tracking whenever I would feel a flare coming on, and I would never have a full flare. And then I noticed that I was able to lift really heavy. And I messaged Lindsay. I did a really heavy leg day, and I'm like, I don't have a flare.
No flares.
I don't have one. And she's like, that's great. She's like, if you do, know that it's okay that you have one. But, use the somatic tracking. And I haven't had a huge flare since. I will feel sometimes, and it's funny, like after doing the full exercise a couple of times, if I start to feel like, oh, okay, is that some pelvic pressure going on? I can just say to myself, I'm okay. I am safe in this pain. I know what this is. I'm safe in it. Yeah. I'm going to be okay. And I don't even have to do the full exercise. And I don't have a flare now.
You essentially did it one time really in depth.
Yeah.
You really somatically connected to your body on a deep nervous system level. You were able to guide your body into safety. You were able to teach your body that it is safe. And so then when you do have that flare up again, it's like you're coming from a place of like knowing that deep safety and your body is there.
Yeah.
And so it can decrease the pain that much quicker. And this is really, really powerful tool for a lot of, our clients that have chronic tension or chronic pain. It's so important. And, that your provider is empowering in the way that they teach you how to address those things.
Yeah.
Versus disempowering, because I feel like if it's disempowering, then the goal is like, we never want you to have any flares. We just want to decrease your pain all the time. And my goal is that you're just don't have tension and you don't have pain. And it's like, that is so not realistic. Yeah. And also not how some bodies are designed. It's like, we need to start with where your body's at, teach it safety, teach it to be able to know how to get into that more relaxed state and to decrease those stress levels, because increasing all of those other fight or flight responses, like you said, and that stress response, it will just increase the pain, increase the injury, and increase the discomfort that you're feeling in the moment and make it even worse.
Absolutely. Well, and that's what when I saw the other PTs in person, their goal was pain-free, you're cured.
Yes.
And with your postpartum PT and Lindsay, she was like, you might not ever be 100% pain-free. And we need to focus on that's okay. Because we have tools.
Yeah.
You can have tools that can help you. You can notice these things. Because like you said, everybody's different. There are some people that might be perfectly fine afterwards. And then there are some people who might not.
Yeah.
And so maybe I'm the one that maybe I won't ever be 100% completely free. But I'm to a point with Lindsay that I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And I'm safe with that. That's okay with me. I'm not going to stress about it anymore because I know what to do now.
So empowering. I know what to do now.
I know what to do.
You have the tools. You know how to connect within. That is the difference of like our approach and the way that we believe in working with clients, and our philosophy of working with clients is we want you to feel so connected to your own body and give you the tools, give you the empowerment back, versus you feeling like we're here to fix you and just send you on your way. I think it's so important what you said there is like, I know what to do now. And also, of course, my PT data brain is like, if we were to track analysis of your flares and your pain on a scale of 10 like 0 to 10, where's your pain at? How frequency per week do you have flares? Like over time, because you now have developed this really strong somatic tracking and nervous system tool in your toolbox, I can imagine just in the time that we've worked with you, we've seen less flares we've seen a decrease in pain rated score.
Oh, absolutely.
So yes, it's like not that it's supposed to be a 0 in 30 days. That's not the goal. The goal is that over time, in 6 months from now, 12 months from now, 5 years from now, Mary, that you'll know how to be able to connect quicker and deeper into your body. That I would really presume, like if you continue up with these practices and continue to decrease those stress levels and to continue to get more in tune with your body in that space, like 5 years from now, like you could have a life that feels like there's not constant flares right around the corner from a workout.
Yeah.
But you did that. We were just a co-facilitator.
Yeah.
I like to give all that power back to you.
Oh, I like that.
That was your body. We can't we can't fix you. We can just teach you tools that you can adapt to your own body. And this is the belief system that we have, and why we love virtual so much is it puts the power and the healing and the responsibility back in your hands.
Yes.
When you have that responsibility back in your hands, the transformation comes from within. It comes from within your body. So actually you healed yourself.
That's, I like it. It gives you back autonomy. It really does. And, I really like too that, not that I felt like the other PTs necessarily said this out loud, but I felt like Lindsay never felt like I was broken.
Yeah, no, we don't believe that.
Like I feel like it was never like, oh, you're broken, anything. No, it's like, okay, let's see how we can make your life, your quality of life better. And it was just very compassionate and understanding just all around of like your whole life.
It's like a mindset thing too,
it
right?
Is,
so
yes.
There's so much around mindset and how like we can't access healing if you are stuck in a victim state. Not that you were ever.
Yeah.
But if you were in this state, if you're listening to this and you're like, I do feel broken though, and I do feel like I'm never going to get better. And I do feel like all these things are forever going to be a part of my life. That is you and your body and your nervous system and your mindset living in this really like victim level state.
Mm-hmm.
And we will not be able to access healing if we're staying in a victim, low level frequency state. Healing actually happens when we are in a more optimistic, hopeful, courageous space. And so that's when we actually can heal our own bodies from within with co-facilitation of our coaches and everything like that. Is the feeling that you had of like, we never made you feel broken. It's because we never looked at you as your body was broken.
Yeah.
And so then you started believing probably like, I'm actually not broken. And like, yeah, my body is different and my body responds differently than my neighbor or my client or whoever it might be.
Yeah.
And that's okay. There's no judgment or shame or anger attached to that, which are very low vibrational states. It's more of like, oh, that's okay. I'm hopeful. I'm courageous. And that really allows you to access those states in your body and your brain waves and your healing that allows you to shift that perspective.
Yeah.
And perspective is everything.
It really is.
It
Because
really,
I
really
work
is
with the
everything.
same thing with my clients too.
Right.
It is all about how you look at something. Like if you are saying to yourself, I'm broken, I can't do this, this will never get better. Like using those types of phrases can really have a big limiting belief, and it would be really hard for you at that point to work on yourself if you truly believe that and you talk to yourself that way.
Exactly.
But even switching up the words of, you know what, I'm not broken. I'm going to be okay. I can do this. I'm going to try this. Like it really is a big thing with how you talk to yourself. And
I am healing.
I am healing.
Yeah.
I am doing it. If you are in pain, I am safe. This is okay. I'm going to get through this.
Yeah.
I'm going to find a solution.
That's incredible. I love it. I have chills. That's amazing. No, so fun. So you've been working with us for how long now?
Ooh, I would say 4 months. So I only have 2 months left, which makes me actually kind of sad.
We can always continue. We love you. But we also really want to create, autonomous clients too. Like, I think that's an interesting perspective with a lot of providers out there that work in the pain industry, specifically the pain industry, is they want a reliant customer that is going to be with them forever for life. Sure makes business easy when you just have this person working with you forever, right? If they never leave you and if they're in pain and you make them feel broken and they stay in those low vibrational states and they never access healing or they never believe that, healing is possible for them, then they stay stuck there and then they work forever. I think it is important that we do things differently with integrity as healthcare providers too. And so, yes, of course, yes, I know you're done in 2 months, but we also want you to feel like empowered and educated and have those tools in your toolbox when you're done. So just in 4 months,
in 4 months.
If you could recap the last 4 months, you came in with blank symptoms, experiences. Now in 4 months, you're experiencing what on a day-to-day basis?
So I came in with extreme pelvic pain, rectal pressure. I would actually even get bloated too. I'd get super bloated with everything. My mood was down. I was like, a limiting belief. This is just how it is, And in 4 months, I have not had a full flare. I am lifting heavier than I've ever lifted, actually to a point where I'm now going to compete in a bodybuilding show because I feel like I can lift heavy enough to get my body to where I want to, where I can do that. I feel strong. I feel confident. I feel relieved. I honestly can't recommend you enough. I really can't, just because. And I feel like so many women need help and they just don't know, one, that they have pelvic floor issues. They just think it's that's just how it is. I had a baby and this is, even if you haven't had a baby, this is just how my body is. And it really doesn't have to be at all.
Even to someone to the degree of, I've tried pelvic floor PT. It didn't work for me.
It didn't work.
I've tried multiple pelvic floor, rehab providers. It didn't work. I've tried cryo. I tried all these different things. It's so hard to hear that when we're like, maybe you just weren't with the right person that actually empowered you, that taught you nervous system strategy, that taught you somatic tracking strategies, especially if you are someone who lives in chronic pain and have had these pelvic floor and core related issues for years.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like, it's that too. I think
that, like, they just think that, well, this is just how it is.
Mhm.
And it honestly doesn't need to be. And I've actually taken a little bit of the somatic tracking with some of my clients. One particular, she has chronic knee pain.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of the exercises are tailored that I program for her. But also, talking to her about it and being like, you're safe in that pain. We can work within the pain scale
Mm-hmm.
and just know that you're safe in that pain. So even taking part of that in you, just because I find it so, I know I keep going back to it, but I find it so incredibly powerful how your mind and body can connect like that. I really do.
Oh, it's so cool to hear you say that you've even taken it into your own practice.
Yeah.
I think that's why we actually attract a lot of fitness coaches or even healthcare workers, a lot of women and moms who are nurses or NPs or PAs, and even like midwives and doulas. Like, they love working with us in that aspect too, because not only is it good for their own bodies, but now they get to utilize these tools and strategies with their own clients and be able to take them into their own practice. And it continues to like fuel our mission, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Of just continuing to pass down the tools and the resources to how can we work together?
Exactly.
Like, how can the entire health community, how can the entire fitness community work together and grab little tiny tools from each other and apply them to our own clients? Because we've learned a ton from just not in the rehab world, right?
Yeah.
Like, if we would have stayed in rehab, we would have had a rehab lens, right? And we would have had a rehab brain. But it's like, like myself and Lindsay and our other coaches on the team, we get a lot of our education and training outside of rehab because it actually allows us to be able to provide better for our clients in their holistic care. So I love that you also are kind of taking a little couple tiny tools from us in this like really pelvic health focused, pain, chronic pain focused program, nervous system somatic tracking, like feeling more empowered in your own body and finding that safety in your nervous system and taking those tools right into your own practice. That makes me so happy.
I just feel like every woman should have these tools. Like, just like with nutrition and fitness, I feel like every woman should know the truth, not just what you see on social media or whatnot, Yeah. And so I feel like everyone should know how positive, and it's not like, I feel like sometimes some women could be shy. It's like, oh, your pelvic health. I'm like, there's nothing to be ashamed of or anything like that. It's okay if you have pelvic issues.
Yeah.
It's all right. Like, we have a lot going on down there. Like, as a woman, a lot of stuff happens. So I'm like, it's okay if you have issues. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to try a new provider if one didn't work for you before. That doesn't mean that the next one won't work.
Yeah. We cannot access healing when we are living in a state of shame.
No,
It's not even possible. We're not consciously even in the energetic space, the emotional space, the mental well-being space to be able to access the power of healing if we are stuck in shame. So that's why I like to bring you in, Mary, and yes, of course. And like, I love to share our client journeys and our client stories on this because I think when stories are shared, we're actually decreasing shame.
Yes.
And by decreasing shame, we're actually allowing more women and mothers to ask for help because that's another thing that we want to teach our children as well is it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to say yes to yourself, but it's also okay to ask for help. And such a powerful thing to teach our children as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you so much for being here, Mary.
Thank you for inviting me. I loved it.
It was amazing to have you and just sharing your whole journey so vulnerably, so honestly, so courageously. I appreciate you for that.
Thank you. I hope I inspired some women to ask for help.
I'm sure you have. I'm sure you have. And we'll also put some links down in our show notes and stuff. So if you guys really connect with Mary, we loved sharing the connections. And if you want to connect with her, we'll put your links down there.
Oh, yeah. I'd love that too.
Sounds great.